Well, for more on the importance of this expo and Chinese consumer trends, I'm joined live from Beijing by John Gong. He's a professor of economics at the University of International Business and Economics. So let's start off by looking at China, as we know, which has continued to open its markets even since the last CIIE. So based on the changing demands from Chinese middle-class consumers, what sorts of products and services are they really drawn to?
Well, we have 1.4 billion people, and out of that population, I would say 200 to 300 million people live a lifestyle very much like in Europe and North America. So these people have the very similar consumption patterns as those people in North America and in Europe. So that means that they're looking for quality products, they're looking for brand products. And they welcome imports. A lot of them actually travel out of the country every year, go shopping. So now it's a good opportunity for foreign companies to, sell more to the Chinese market. It's mostly these people. They are living in second-tier, first-tier cities, and they are going to open their wallets and buy a lot of imports. So I think that represents a very good opportunity for many foreign companies here in China.
So then which sectors, as they've opened up, have made the biggest difference, not just to the Chinese economy, but really the quality of life in China?
Well, people are looking for luxury items, looking for food, quality food. They're also looking for a lot of, children-related products. I think these are areas that the consumers emphasize quality and emphasize the brand. And that's a huge market, growing very fast, growing rapidly.
And you mentioned the purchasing power of middle-class Chinese. Just how valuable is it, and what's really driving its growth?
Well, it's the living standard going up. I mean, China is still growing at the, GDP is still growing at the 6.0 or 6.2% a year, and the income is actually going a little bit faster than that. That means people have more disposable incomes, and also, with the real estate market booming for the last few years, people's equity in the real estate has been really building up. So that's a certain asset effect. That means that people are more willing to spare money on consumption. So that's driving people's consumption.
And trends certainly change depending on what stage of life you're at. So as we look at the consumption power among young people versus, say, the buying habits of the previous generation, how do they compare?
Yeah, that's another issue that great issue you brought about. The thing is that the younger generation, they are brought up with a relatively well-off environment. They've never known anything about, for example, starvation, like my generation used to know. So they are used to kind of a lifestyle that is, very comfortable, very much like North America and Europe. So when they grow up, when they start to, make income, they tend to spend more. I mean, they don't have the habit of saving a lot of money like the older generation. So they have a more larger propensity to consume. So I think, and furthermore, they emphasize quality, emphasize brand, they emphasize good products, especially imports from brand companies. So I think that's driving the consumption from that segment of the market. In the younger generation, those people living in cities, they have good jobs, and they're more likely to spend.
And speaking of companies, we know that the US didn't send an official delegation to the CIIE, but US companies, huge ones, including General Electric, Boeing, and Qualcomm, are participating. What should we read into that?
Well, these companies have been traditional strong players. I think they are already having a strong, resale distribution channel here in China. They have their customer relationships here. And I think they are going to the exhibit mostly as a sort of a promotion, as a statement that they are here in China for the long run. I think the CIIE is really a good platform for small and medium-sized companies that haven't really established presence here in China, especially American companies in the Midwest, in the heartland of America. They haven't really tapped the Chinese market, and this is a good opportunity for those companies, small and medium companies in agricultural products, in food products, Usually international trade, it requires a certain amount of investment upfront to establish the presence, to establish the distribution channel. And I think the CIIE platform is a very efficient platform for these companies to come to China to establish the beachhead. And I think more importantly, to follow up with all kinds of logistic issues, in terms of distribution, in terms of certification of the products and customs carrying issues. These logistic issues are actually more important, in my opinion, than just advertising and promoting their products at the exhibit.
All right, thank you so much for your insights, Professor John Gong there from the University of International Business and Economics.